I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, seal my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no given. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused on dangerous, they don't want it when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know this because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating. Got them nauseous cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the house and whoo. Watch how I get ahead. Watch how I get ahead. Watch how I get ahead.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC Vegas 71. What is up, everybody? Really looking forward to this card. Happy Priscilla Cachoeira fight week. Just kidding. The fight is off, and I'm very, very, very upset. Not only did I want to see that Priscilla Cachoeira fight, but I'm a huge Priscilla Cachoeira fan, and that fight was most of my night from a betting perspective. So, yeah, I had 3.5 units on the fight doesn't go decision. Was really counting on that fight to happen, but Priscilla Cachoeira went in there weighing it like 5 pounds over the limit. The fight was apparently on. They faced off. And then all of a sudden, magically, the fight is off. So we're not going to get to watch the best fight on the card in Priscilla Cachoeira going against Karina Silva. So that hurts. That hurts bad. I never think anything's a lock or nothing like that. But honestly, I was kind of already counting my money in terms of that hitting that fight as a good decision. So that one hurts. But we still have 11 fights on this card. Going to, chill Saturday, watch it, enjoy it, because next Saturday the card is horrendous. UFC Vegas 72 has to be probably the worst card of the year. So still have a lot of action, which scares the crap out of me. Like I said, I really like that Priscilla Cachoeira fight. Doesn't go decision spot, but that fight is going to be off. But yeah, see if we can make some money on some other spots this week. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate that. Trying to work my way up to 20,000 subs. I think we're about 350 away. So if you do enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Going to be going live 1 hour prior to the prelims tomorrow for best bet. So make sure you guys do check that out. Be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code at DFSBTN. I talked a little bit about my favorite spot this week on my Draftkings video, and I'll be going over that later this card. But yeah, I've been killing it on Underdog so far this year, and hopefully continuing that this week for UFC Vegas 71. But yeah, let's check on the chat. Let's see how you guys are doing. We got first one in the chat is Sean. Sean, what is up? How you doing? We got Kai in the building as well. What is up, Kai? Let's go. Let's get it. Donald saying, no, Zombie Girl fight is off. Yeah, I mean, that was my most anticipated fight. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I was really looking forward to that fight. Had a ton of money invested. It was going to be tied for my biggest play of the year on that fight doesn't go decision. So that hurts very, very badly. It's always something. It's always something. Week after week, it's always something, whether a fight gets called off after lock and ruins drafting lineups, or it's always something. But yeah, that one hurts. It could have been any other fight in the card, but no, it had to be that fight. We got Tony in the chat. Hey, Brady, hope everyone wins some money tomorrow. Great main event, but don't turn your head or it might be over. That is true. Don't blink. Do not blink in that main event. Going to be a violence card at the Apex. Yep. I think we lost a great violence spot, but still think it's a violent card overall. Got Mushroom in the building. What is up, Mushroom? What's up, Brady? One more sleep. Thanks for stopping by my show last night. I did not stop by your show last night, Mushroom, but I'll have to check it out. Did somebody have a fake DFS by the Numbers account? That's weird, but no, I'll go check out your show later, Mushroom. We got Audrey. Hello, Brady. It's been a long time since I joined your stream. Glad that this time I popped in accidentally for the special moment. What is up, Audrey? Thank you for hanging out. Sad vibes. Yeah, very, very sad for that. I was really looking forward to seeing Priscilla getting choked out. Yeah, I thought she was probably going to get choked out in the first round, and if not, she probably could have came on in that second and third and got a finish. You can't be sneering saying 20K. Yep, that is the goal. That is the goal. Silka saying 5 units on the under 1.5 in the main. For the love of God, get it done, boys. Yeah, I like the under 1.5 myself. What do you mean next week is horrendous? Do you not see Salsa Boy is on the card? Yeah, Salsa Boy versus Marcos or Jerry DeLima. Leg day? It is not leg day. It is not leg day. But I say we get into it, and we're going to start with the first fight of the card. We have Danab Bakary going against Brady Heastan. We have Danab Bakary as around minus 145 favorite currently. And I'll be checking out Bellator, but I'm not betting anything. I was not able to look into it this week unless something really sticks out, but I was not able to dig as deep as I wanted to into it. But we got Danab Bakary, who is the favorite. He's currently sitting around minus 145. And then Danab Bakary, Brady Heastan is currently plus 125. So I do have 3 bets here to kick off the card. I like Danab here. And I like Danab inside the distance. I think this fight is pretty simple to break down. Brady Heastan, he's a guy that can grapple. He's a guy that can wrestle grapple for 15 minutes, no problem. It's just, is he going to be able to take down and control Danab Bakary for the full 15 minutes? I think it's possible, but at some point in time, I do see this fight being on the feet. I do see this fight being at range. And when this fight is on the feet, Brady Heastan is going to be in some serious trouble. Brady does not have the best strike and defense. I don't think he has the best chin. And Danab Bakary is going to be the hardest hitter Brady has fought by a mile. I mean, we saw Brady get dropped by Ricky Tercios. We saw him get dropped by Fernie Garcia. Both those guys don't have a ton of power. Danab Bakary has a ton of power. So I'm leaning Danab Bakary by knockout. And my first bet of the card is Danab Bakary inside the distance, plus 140 on Bet365. It moved a little bit, plus 135. And then I also sprinkled a quarter unit on his first and second round props. First round, quarter unit plus 450, and then second round, quarter unit plus 750. I think Danab gets it done probably in the first round, but did want to cover that second round as well. I believe all Danab's knockouts do come within those first 2 rounds. So give me some violence here to kick off the card. I think Danab knocks out Brady Heastan probably in the first. From a DraftKings perspective, I think this is a fight that is borderline must target because you got Brady at 7,500. Like if Brady wins this fight, expect like a ton of takedowns, a ton of control time, because he's not going to want to strike with Danab. And if Danab wins this fight, I expect it to be a knockout and probably early as well. So I think it's a great fight to target on DraftKings, great violent spot, but I'm taking Danab Bakary to win this fight inside the distance. I saw someone in my chat saying hi to Brady, assumed it was you. I think there's another guy named Brady in the community, so must have been him, but yeah, I'll definitely check you out later, Mushroom. Pretty confident in Danab here. I don't want to say like I'm extremely confident, but I just think it's it's 15 minutes to land a big shot. I think for Brady to win this fight, he's going to have to fight a perfect game plan for 15 minutes because any second, like 1 second on the feet with Danab, it's going to be trouble potentially. So, I do lean towards Danab, but I'm not extremely confident in it. But I think those knockout prices are definitely worth some shots there. What's the best site to bet on? It's a tough question because every site has their different things that you got to like. Like for example, Bet Online, what you got like about them is they come out the fastest. Best lines, probably FanDuel Sportsbook. Bet Rivers, they have really good lines, but they kind of wait till later in the week. I don't really use FanDuel that much anymore. DraftKings is solid. They're kind of early as well. All really depends. If you want early lines, Bet Online. If you want the best odds, probably FanDuel or Bet Rivers there. But yeah, those are the ones I use. Bet Rivers, FanDuel, DraftKings, Bet Online. Those are my 4 favorites right there. What is the best bet for this card? Well, the best bet for this card was Karina Silva, Priscilla Cachoeira. Fight doesn't go to decision, but that fight is off. Now it's probably some type of violence in the main event, and we'll talk about the main event later. I do have 4 bets on the main event, all 4 involving violence. So we'll talk more about that later. Do you think Brady can submit him? If I was leaning for Brady to win, I kind of lean decision, honestly. So instead of playing the fight doesn't go, I kind of like the Danab inside the distance as well. I guess Brady could potentially submit him, but I don't know. I don't really see it personally. I think if Brady does win his fight, it's by decision. So if you like violence, I'd probably take Danab inside the distance. And if you like Brady, probably Brady by decision. All right. Moving on. We're going to skip the Silva Cachoeira fight. But we can take a moment of silence for that fight being off, because I was really looking forward to that fight. So going to take a moment of silence due to losing Priscilla Cachoeira, Karina Silva. All right. Moving on. Francis Marshall going against William Gomez. Yeah, nothing here. William Gomez missed weight, and then he ended up getting an hour, and he ended up making weight. And he didn't look too bad on the scale. So the weigh-ins don't really affect this for me. I'm going with Francis Marshall. I just don't really love the line. Like, what is he, minus 200? Yeah, he's still minus 200, and that's the best price out there. I think Marshall wins, but I think it could be, somewhat competitive. I think it's all going to come down to who's going to be able to win these wrestling exchanges, these grappling exchanges. What I don't like about William Gomez is he's a solid striker. He really is. He's very long, very lengthy, but he's doing a lot of backing up. I think it's going to be Francis Marshall, the one pressuring forward, landing the bigger shots, the harder shots. And with Gomez backing up, it's going to allow Francis Marshall to get in on him, take him down, and Marshall can wrestle for 15 minutes, no problem. So I lean Marshall here, but minus 200, what are you going to do? And really no props stuck out. So yeah, the pick's Marshall, but don't really want anything to do with this fight from a betting perspective. From a DraftKings perspective, that's a big price for Marshall, 9,200. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get there. I know he got, a nice win in his debut by knockout against Marcelo Rojo, but I think it's a little bit tougher of a matchup here. I kind of lean Marshall like by decision, maybe mixing some takedowns. 9,200, I think there's just some better options. And as far as William Gomez, I'm not too interested in him as well. So it's a pass from a betting perspective, from a DraftKings perspective. The pick is Marshall, but don't have a ton of faith, especially at minus 200 here. You can't be snary. I'm pretty confident in Dumont here too. From what I've seen, his striking is a step above. At the very least, is a step up, I'd say. Brady's, and it looks like he has great IQ. Agreed. I like it. I'm opposite of you here, Brady, but it's a toss-up. Yeah, I lean. I guess it could be a toss-up. I just wasn't too impressed with Gomez. I think the line could be a little bit wide, but just wasn't impressed with what I saw from the guy. Marshall is a really tough kid. He is win or die. Yeah, the dude's tough as nails. The dude's absolutely tough as nails. Why did Marshall and Gomez face off first? Is this the first fight of the night? No, they faced off first, so Gomez can go and start cutting weight again. He got an extra hour to do it. He missed weight at first, but he ended up making weight on the second attempt. Voodoo saying, what's up, Brady? Good luck on your picks this weekend. Appreciate you, Voodoo. Good luck on your picks as well and your bets. Appreciate you. All right. We'll keep moving on. This is my 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. This is the fight that I'm not even thinking about betting on. It's a fight I want nothing to do with. It's a fight that is about as ugly as you can get. You have Junior Tafa going against Muhammad Usman. First of all, we can talk about this line movement here. Just wild line movement where we had Junior Tafa sitting around like minus 225, like minus 230 even. We had Muhammad Usman sitting around plus 200, plus 205 for a while. And I was sitting there, I think it was Sunday. I was sitting there on like a Sunday, and I was honestly considering betting Muhammad Usman. And then like it had to have been like 20 minutes later, Muhammad Usman went from like plus 200, plus 205 to a pick'em. Like, honestly, it was some of the most wild line movement I've ever seen. He went from like plus 200 to minus 110 in the span of like 20 to 30 minutes. And since then, the line really hasn't moved. It's been a pick 'em all week since that move on Sunday. So at plus 200, yeah, I'm tempted in Muhammad Usman. At minus 110, no, I'm not at all. I've heard people say that Junior Tafa is a lock, and could he win? Absolutely. Muhammad Usman's pretty bad, but how can you say a guy with only 8 months MMA experience is a lock? Like, Junior Tafa's MMA debut was 8 months ago. What is this guy's ground game like? What is this guy's cardio like? I mean, there's so many question marks. And then on the flip side, you have Muhammad Usman, who's terrible. So how anybody could want to bet this fight is beyond me, but a lot of people are betting this fight. Both sides, really. I don't get the confidence in Junior Tafa. Like I said, is Muhammad Usman pretty bad? Yeah, he is. But he has a path to victory, and that path to victory is going to be to wrestle. And like I said, Junior Tafa, what's his takedown defense like? What's his get-up game like? What is his cardio like? And I think all of those are going to be tested here if he doesn't knock out Muhammad Usman in the first round. So I'm staying far, far away from this fight. I want nothing to do with it. But from a DraftKings perspective, it's borderline a must target fight at these price tags. Junior Tafa 8,200. Like if he wins, it's a first round knockout. Muhammad Usman 8,000. If he wins, it's takedown city all day. He's going to mix in the takedowns. He's going to continue mixing in those takedowns across 3 rounds. So on DraftKings, unfortunately, I'm going to be very heavily exposed on this fight. I already had my ownerships. I already made lineups like Wednesday, and I have to completely redo all of them because of the Silva fight being off. But I'm going to have a fair share of this matchup. I think it's a terrible fight. I think it's an ugly fight. For anybody to have confidence on this fight, I don't get it. Somebody that just made their debut less than a year ago in MMA against a fighter who's, yeah, he's bad, but he's been fighting for a lot longer in terms of MMA. What a mess of a fight. Not betting this fight. It's 1-800 gambler for me, but on DraftKings, I'm going to be very heavily invested in this fight. I think it scores very good, although it's a pretty terrible fight. We see a lot of times these terrible fights, they end up scoring the most. I think Junior Tafa is going to be very high owned. It's a very popular play this week. Muhammad Usman, I do think will have some solid ownership as well, but a lot less than Tafa, I'd say. Yeah, it's a very good fight to target. Looking forward to this one I think it's going to be so bad that it's going to be an exciting fight. Under 1.5 rounds, not for me. Like if you think this fight's going under, you probably think that Junior Tafa wins this fight by first round knockout. I know Muhammad Usman knocked out Zach Pauga in his last fight, but Muhammad Usman's not like some murderous power puncher typically. It was just a weird knockout. Like Muhammad Usman's not going to go out there and knock out Junior Tafa on the feet. You wouldn't think so. Junior Tafa's the much better striker. If Usman wins this fight, it's probably like a late TKO ground and pound. So if you like the under 1.5, you probably like Tafa here. Tafa KO, Usman's not good. That is 100% true. He's not good. And one big rule that I have is don't try to fade a bad fighter with a bad fighter. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. I don't know. It's a mess of a fight. Usman versus Tafa, Street Beefs fight of the week. Agreed. 100%. That's wild. Is he coached by James Krause? Yeah, I don't believe so. But yeah, that was just some wild line movement. Like at the span of 20 minutes, I just refreshed and the plus 200 was gone. Back landed flush on Momo. Tafa has the La La Land power. Absolutely. Like if Muhammad Usman goes out there and strikes with Junior Tafa, I think it's an easy knockout. It's just I personally think Muhammad Usman's going to try to wrestle early on and often. And if he doesn't, he's getting knocked out. Usman doesn't take it to the ground despite having some wrestling, then I'd recommend you go back and watch his other fights prior to the Tough House. He didn't wrestle in the Tough House, and he didn't wrestle in his debut, but prior to that, he wrestles all the time. So I think it'd be wise for him to go back to that. For someone who got judged robbed for almost beating Patty, Jared Gordon at plus 20 has tremendous value. Disagree. I'm really high on Bobby Green this week, but hey, I mean, the judges are corrupt. They suck. They get it wrong all the time. So if this does go the distance, you could be right. Bobby Green is withering. Disagree again. I mean, he got knocked out by Drew Dober, but prior to that, he was destroying Drew Dober on the feet. And then he lost to Islam Makhachev. I mean, what would Islam Makhachev do to Jared Gordon? So disagree on both fronts. But yeah, I mean, if this fight goes the distance, the judges are completely blind and corrupt. So you could be right there. Junior Tafa, 2 fights canceled prior to Usman. Last one was Waldo Acosta. Manny had a lot of fights canceled on the schedule. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Acosta, and he was supposed to fight someone else that looked kind of like a layup. I forget who it was, but yeah, finally getting to see him here. Tafa definitely no lock, but agree. The score is great on DraftKings. Yeah, I think it's a fight I'm going to have a lot of. We got Usman in the chat. What is up, Usman? Got Jacob in the chat. What is up, Jacob? Just tuning in. Let's get another good week, bro. Yeah, I hope so. Little hurt after the Ketchawara fight fell off, but hopefully, a lot of these other spots come through. Can't talk. Wrestle because I know you saw it. Oh, that could be it. EPO. Yeah, he did look. I don't know. Usman looked a little bit. I don't want to say he looked a little bit soft. He looked a little bit softer at the weigh-ins. Maybe, I don't know. Weird. But we can move on from this tragedy of a fight to another tragedy of a fight. We have Norma Dumont going against Carol Hosa, and I do have a bet here. Unfortunately, I took the over 2.5 in a parlay. I have 3 parlays this week. I'll talk about all 3 at the end. I just don't really see a finish here either way. We have Norma Dumont, who couldn't finish a white belt, and Danielle Wolf on the mat. I mean, if you can't finish Danielle Wolf on the mat, you're probably not finishing anybody ever. I mean, Danielle Wolf was 1-0, had no ground game, again, white belt, and Norma Dumont took her to decision. So if you're not finishing Danielle Wolf, you're not finishing Carol Hoza. On the flip side, Carol Hoza, not a murderous power puncher. She's coming up a weight class. She's not going to submit Dumont. She's not going to knock her out. The only thing I really like here is the over 2.5 rounds as a parlay piece. Who wins this fight? I don't know. It's going to go to decision. It's going to be close, and the judges are going to get it wrong, and then we're all going to scream robbery, and that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, not touching this fight from a moneyline perspective. I do lean towards Dumont just due to the size. Carol Hoza coming up a weight class, but this fight really could go either way. I think a pick'em is perfect here. Like, to have any confidence on either side, I wouldn't really have any confidence. So, yeah, fading this fight from a money line perspective, but on DraftKings, I actually don't hate the Carol Hoza side at 7,900, just because, for one, she's an underdog and she's currently a pick'em on the money line. For two, like, when Carol Hoza wins, she scores very well. Like, performances well over 100 points, multiple of them. I think her worst win was like 90 points against Betchgray, 89, 90 points. So, yeah, if Carol Hoza is able to pull this off at 7,900, not only is nobody going to play her this week, I don't think, but she's going to probably put up 100 plus. So on DraftKings, I love Carol Hoza. But the bet for me is the over 2.5 as a parlay piece. LJ with the 19.99. Appreciate you late again, Brady, but Rafa money line and max 4-5 decision hit. Well done. You were the guy that asked me if, what my favorite spots were, right? Glad they could come through. Yeah, Rafa. Clay Guida made that easy. I was not expecting Clay Guida to go out there and let Rafa punch him in the face for 3 rounds. And then max 4-5, self-explanatory. Good hits there, LJ. Glad you can make some money there. Appreciate the dono. It does mean a ton. Dumont by Cake Smother. That's kind of what I'm leaning. Moy saying, I bet Norma inside the distance versus Wolf. Same. And I was very confident too. And that one hurt. But yeah, if you can't finish Wolf, I mean, you're not finishing anybody in the division ever. Andre saying no finish in this one, but my gut says Dumont. Yeah, I'm leaning Dumont, just not with a ton of confidence whatsoever. I might not even watch this fight. I'm not going to, probably, because I hate watching fights when I have an over, no matter who's fighting. So I probably won't watch it for that reason. And then on top of that, I don't think it's going to be the most entertaining fight. So just 2 reasons to not watch this fight for me personally. I think this fight's going to happen around 6, which is a little bit too early for lunch, but maybe I'll find something else to do rather than watching this fight. We got Jason in the chat. Hey, Brady, what is up, Jason? How you doing? Carol Hoza is not looking small, and she's going to get it done. She could. It's a close fight. She could very well get it done. I don't think Norma Dumont's that great. Just don't like the fact that she's coming up a weight class is the one thing that's kind of scaring me away from Carol Hoza. But we shall move on to the next fight. We got Montel Jackson going against Ronnie Yaya. I do have a bet here. Yeah, I really like the under. So the under 2.5 opened at -210 on Bet Online. And I saw it there and I'm like, there's no way I'm laying -210 on this under. And then money actually came out on the over. And then I was able to get the under 2.5 rounds at -142. And I put a unit on it. In hindsight, I probably should have went a lot heavier. My plan was to just put a unit on the under 2.5 rounds and then also add like a half unit on, Montel Jackson inside the distance or Montel Jackson by knockout. Well, the problem is Montel Jackson inside the distance is like -175 and Montel Jackson by knockout is like -140. So probably should have went heavier on that under. I like the under here though quite a bit. I know a lot of people think this fight's going the distance. The odds don't really indicate that. We have this money pouring in on the fight doesn't go to decision. Fight doesn't go -250 now on Bet Online. Under 2.5 -215 now, but you can still get the under around -170 on some books. Looks like Bet Rivers -177. I like the under here. I think Montel Jackson makes us look pretty easily, honestly. It's a terrible matchup for Ronnie Yaya. It couldn't be any worse of a matchup for Ronnie Yaya. Not only Ronnie Yaya going to be much older at 38, coming off of a year layoff, Ronnie Yaya to have any success here, he's going to have to get the fight down to the mat, and I just don't see that happening. On the feet, it's Montel Jackson all day, and it's not even close. Montel Jackson's going to be much bigger. He's going to have like a 7.5, 8-inch reach advantage. Montel Jackson has a ton of power, 11 knockdowns in his last 4 or 5 fights. We saw Ronnie Yaya get dropped by Kung Ho Kong. We saw him get dropped twice by Ricky Simone. And you take a look at Ronnie Yaya's career, he's not fighting really anybody good. Like, this guy's career, he's fighting some pretty bad opponents. Like, there's not a ton of notable names out there on Ronnie Yaya's resume. Like, this is probably going to be one of his hardest fights ever, and he's 38. So I think Montel Jackson makes this look very easy, but they're all over it. Minus 215 looks like best price for the fight doesn't go. Montel inside the distance, like minus 150. I mean, there's not much you can do with that. So I'm on the under here, 1 unit, minus 142. Wish I would have went a little bit heavier on that, but I expect Montel Jackson to finish Ronnie Yaya and do it, honestly, very quickly. On a DraftKings perspective, 9,700 is a lot, but I think Montel Jackson can rack up like 3 or 4 knockdowns in this fight, and I'm not even joking. Like, I can see him knocking down Ronnie Yaya, and Ronnie Yaya getting back up, Montel Jackson knocking him down again, Ronnie Yaya getting back up, and then Montel Jackson knocking him out, and the ref stopping the fight. So I think at 9,700, it's a lot, but I think he can pay that off. And typically, wouldn't really run to pay somebody at 9,700, but we now have an 11-fight card, and I think Montel Jackson at this point has probably the best upside on the entire slate. And there's enough underdogs where I think you can get to Montel Jackson no problem. So I'm going to be high on Montel Jackson. He's going to be my highest exposed fighter, even though he's 9,700. I still think he gets it done and puts up a really big score here. But give me the under. I think Montel Jackson smashes Ronnie Yaya. Fight to end in the first or second round, minus 115. Is that good? I like that a lot. Where do you see that line at? That might be something I'm interested in as well. The fight to end in the first 2 rounds. Montel by murder. Yana looked 70 walking across the stage. Yeah, he looked old. He says he's 38. I'm not so sure. The dude looks 45, 46. I mean, he looks very old. He's been fighting forever, for a long, long time. Montel takes Yaya out. Montel is just too good for him. Agree, it's a KO finish in the first or second. Yeah, I think he makes this look very easy. As long as he doesn't go down to the mat with Ronnie Yaya, which, why would he? I think he makes this look very easy here. Jackson by world-class domination. Agreed. Speaking of underdog, though, one play that does stick out on underdog this week, and last week we got kind of a freebie. Last week they had Rafa Garcia fantasy points at 55.5, which meant all Rafa Garcia had to do is win. I thought that was a freebie, and it ended up being pretty easy. This one that I like this week is Montel Jackson lower than 1.5 takedowns, just due to the fact that why would Montel Jackson go for a takedown here? I mean, that would be ridiculous if Montel Jackson even completed 1 takedown. So for it to be set at 1.5, I like the lower, because in no world should Montel Jackson be shooting a takedown in this matchup. If that doesn't hit, Montel Jackson's an idiot. So we're going to test the fight IQ of Montel Jackson this week. Give me the lower on the Montel Jackson on takedowns. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. We can call this one a lock, even though, yeah, I'm very confident Montel Jackson, but I don't know if he could make a mistake here and go to the mat. I mean, that would be my one concern in terms of being overly confident in Montel Jackson, but we'll see. Give me Montel Jackson to destroy Ronnie Yaya. Moving on, we got Ricky Glenn going against Christos Giagos. Nothing here from a betting perspective. Looks like money's been pouring in on Christos Giagos, and I get it to an extent. Like, this fight, I think, is actually going to be pretty close. The problem with Christos Giagos just always is, like, he slows down massively as that fight goes on. He looks really good early, and then his gassing kind of just falls off a cliff. And Ricky Glenn, he's going to have the cardio advantage. Ricky Glenn has solid takedown defense, a solid get-up game. He's going to make Giagos work. So I could see Giagos having success early, and then Ricky Glenn kind of taking over late. This is going to be a fight I look at from like a live betting standpoint, where I think Giagos can make this either very, very close, or maybe even win the first round and then potentially get Ricky Glenn at dog money in that second. That's how I'm going to attack it, if anything, but nothing else sticks out pre-flop. So live bet on Ricky Glenn is kind of what I'm looking at. From a DraftKings perspective, that's just too much for Ricky Glenn for me. 9,000 for a guy that has 1 finish in the UFC, for a guy that's probably not going to go for a ton of takedowns. Can't get to Ricky Glenn at 9,000. On the flip side, Christos Giagos at 7,200, I can get to some Christos Giagos at 7,200 because he's going to wrestle. This guy wrestles a lot, and he's going to wrestle in this matchup. Christos Giagos landing 3.21 takedowns per 15 minutes. If he wins this fight, he's probably going to, well, he is going to pay off that $7,200 price tag if he wins this fight. So I like Giagos from a DraftKings perspective. 7,200 is very cheap for a guy that is going to go out there with a game plan of trying to wrestle for 3 minutes or 3 rounds. Montel Jackson is an idiot then. If he goes for a takedown, he might be. He might be. I am from Eastern Europe, a small country near Ukraine. Maybe that's why I tend to bet violence. So the website is regional, I think. Okay. Bet on him. There you go. And then you're saying you got the Craig Walker. Oh my gosh. You got Craig Walker to end in rounds 1 or 2 at plus 100. Yeah, that's wild. I remember being very high on the under 1.5 at like minus something. Yeah, plus 100 for that was wild. So yeah, I don't hate that minus 115 for the Montel Jackson. I'd play that as well. I have Glenn to finish this fight sometime in round 2. Yeah, if Giago slows down, Glenn could be live late in the fight. I can't remember how Glenn won against Silva. Did he catch him in the first round? He caught him at like the first 30 seconds. It was weird. Like both guys had not fought in like 3 years. And then Ricky Glenn just goes in there and starched him in like 30 seconds. His first knockout win in the UFC. It was wild. It broke the slate. And of course, I didn't have much, if any, Ricky Glenn that week. Because why would you? All right. We're going to move on to, I believe, the main card. Jeremiah Wells going against Matt Simmonsberger. This should be an absolute banger. Probably one of the best fights on the card. We have Jeremiah Wells as the slight favorite. Matt Simmonsberger as the slight, around plus 100 for Matt Simmonsberger. Looks like a pick 'em on most books now. So I do have a bet here. I have a half unit shot on the under 1.5 rounds, plus 145. I think these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. Both these guys are so dangerous. Both these guys have a ton of power. When Matt Simmonsberger is finishing fights, it's typically early. He has multiple finishes in the first round in the UFC. And then when Jeremiah Wells finishes fights, it's early as well. Jeremiah Wells, 3 fights in the UFC, all 3 coming under 1.5 rounds. I think both guys are live to knock each other out. And I think Wells can get this fight down to the mat, potentially get a submission. So I'm on the under 1.5 rounds, plus 145 for a half unit. But I don't hate the under 2.5 rounds. If you do want an extra round, I don't hate the fight. Doesn't go to decision. This is going to be an all-out banger, I think. But I think someone does get finished here. From a DraftKings perspective, don't mind either side. I'm personally on the Jeremiah Wells side, 8,400. I think if he wins, you have that wrestling upside. You have that BJJ black belt you like. He has a ton of power on the feet. I think if he does win, it's early. Matt Simmonsberger, I think he could potentially win early as well. But if this fight does get extended, it does heavily favor Matt Simmonsberger, in my opinion. I don't think Wells is going to be able to keep up that crazy pace, the crazy power he throws with across 3 rounds. So I love this fight from a fan perspective. I'm on the under 1.5 for a half unit. And then on a DraftKings note, I think it's a solid fight to target as well. Very, very fun fight here. Yeah, it was a nasty knockout. It shocked me. It shocked me like what Glenn did to Silva there. I like this prediction, Jason. Wells by KO, then screams at the camera. He loves screaming at the camera. I like that. I think there's a very good chance that could happen here. The only thing that scares me, though, is Simmonsberger is tough. He has been knocked out and submitted in the past, but he has shown a really good chin in the UFC. But Wells hits like an absolute truck, so I don't think it's going to matter here. I think somebody's getting finished, though. Let me see here. For some reason, I went decision on the Wells fight. Could go the distance. If it's decision, I lean Simmonsberger probably winning that fight by decision. And Simmonsberger by decision, plus 280, plus 275. Sounds about right to me. Wells' last fight on his contract. Well, hopefully he goes in there and gets a big finish. That'd be nice. Gets a big finish, gets a nice contract next time out. All right, we shall move on to the next fight. We have Lastman Lucinda going against Brogan Walker. This fight scares me very bad. I stopped laying chalk on WMMA a while ago after the Corey McKenna was something that happened, but it was the who was it? Oh, Lupita Godinez. Lupita Godinez went out there against Angela Hill and decided not to wrestle. After that, I swore off laying chalk on WMMA for a while, up until Loma Lookboonmee, when I laid minus like 220, 225 on Loma Lookboonmee. Going back to the well here, I like Lasman Lucinda quite a bit. And like I said, it worries me a little bit, but man, I really like her to win this fight on the feet. And it's weird, like watching tape on Lucinda prior to her debut against Sergey, she didn't show a ton of striking at all. All you see really is her getting takedowns, her getting on top, and her pounding at her opponent. So I didn't really see much of her striking or know much about her striking at all. And then she fights Sergey, and she goes in there and she competes with her. Like, she makes that fight a lot closer than a lot of people expected it to be, especially on the feet. Like, I thought that, yeah, if Lucinda is able to take down Sergey, she could have success, but in no world did I think she's going to go out there and go strike for strike with Sergey in her debut. So on the feet here, Lucinda should be the better striker as long as she shows up and looks like she did in her debut. Brogan Walker, she's low volume, she's not aggressive, whereas Lucinda, she's a lot higher volume. She's very aggressive, and I think that aggressiveness is going to pay dividends here in terms of her winning minutes and winning moments. And then on the flip side, we saw Brogan Walker going there against Juliana Miller and looked like complete crap. I mean, she looked terrible, like horrible against Juliana Miller. And Juliana Miller's horrible in her own right. Juliana Miller went 4 for 4 on takedowns. Brogan Walker showed a 0% takedown defense. So although Lasman Lucinda didn't show the ability to get the fight down to the mat in her debut, I think she's going to have a much easier time taking down Brogan Walker here. And if she's able to get on top of Brogan Walker, Lucinda's ground game is pretty nasty on top. She has been submitted twice before. That's a big talking point for people this week, but she got submitted when she was like 17, 18 years old. It's been a while since she has been submitted. I think her last submission loss came in like 2019. She was like 19 at that time, or 18 at that time. So I think she'll be fine there. So yeah, I think Lucinda wins this fight on the feet, just being more active, doing more damage, being more aggressive. And then I think she can get on top of Brogan Walker and do damage there and potentially finish the fight. Like, if Juliana Miller is finishing you, why can't Lasman Lucinda? So I have Lasman Lucinda in a parlay, 2 parlays. I'll go over my 3 parlays at the end, but I have Lasman Lucinda parlayed up in 2 parlays. Am I terrified? Yeah, I am. But she should win this fight. And then I have a half unit shot on the under 2.5 rounds, plus 220, bet online. It's now plus 205, just because I think Lucinda can win this fight inside the distance. Like, she's a very solid finisher. Lucinda with a 77% finish rate. And like I said, she made Juliana Miller, Brogan Walker made Juliana Miller look like freaking Amanda Nunes in the fight. And Juliana Miller is horrible. She is terrible. So, yep, Lucinda time. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. The laying chalk on WMMA is what I've came to this week. We'll see if it works out. We will see if it works out. I think Walker got good enough grappling to lay and pray here. Don't know what happened against Miller. That's not Walker's game. Walker never takes anybody down. So I don't know about that. Walker's a black belt, but she's a striker. She even said it herself. She said that she's a striker. She prefers to strike. So that's not her game. And if she does try it, I don't know if it's going to work out. Brogan made Juliana look like wolf tickets versus Hardy. Yeah, exactly. It was bad, man. It was bad. Lucinda, a decision, maybe sub. I'm kind of leading TKO. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to sub Brogan Walker, who is a black belt, but I can see like a TKO. Her name is that an I or an L? Yeah, somebody else said that this week. I disagree. So her name is Yasmin? Like, that makes no sense to me. How can it be Yasmin? I'm going to stick with Lasman. But it doesn't matter. As long as she wins, I'll be happy. I got her in a 2-leg parlay. Let's go. Let's get it. Blood money. Let's go. Brady, great show as always. I like the Lucinda under 2.5 at plus 195. I'm right there with you. And I also saw blood money that you parlayed up Lucinda, and I'm right there with you as well. Let's get it. I feel like a lot of people this week don't realize Lasman is a grappler, and I think Brogan will out-grapple her. Yeah, Lasman, you take a look at any other fight out of her side of her debut, and that's all she's doing is grappling. Like, I saw no striking on any other fight outside of the debut. So you take a look at all her other fights, she's taking these fighters down and she's dominating them on the mat. So Yeah, but I mean, it's WMMA. We've seen it time and time again. Typically leads to me being disappointed at the end of the night, but I hope not. I hope not. But we will move on to the next fight. We got Bobby Green going against Jared Gordon, and I like Bobby Green here quite a bit. Don't say that, Sean. Everybody has a chance. Everybody has a chance. Anyway, Bobby Green, I really like Bobby Green this week. I think it's a phenomenal matchup for him. You take a look at Jared Gordon, like on paper, his striking numbers are solid, but go look at who he's fighting. Like Jared Gordon never fights a striker, like ever. Like the last time he's fought a striker was years ago. He's fighting grapplers nonstop. So yeah, he's able to outstrike some of those guys, but Bobby Green's gonna be the best striker he's fought in a very, very long time. Bobby Green's striking's no joke, and he's gotten better. It looks like Bobby Green's been landing a ton of volume lately. He landed like 144, 145 against Rafael Fiziev. He was outlanding Drew Dober over 2-1 before getting knocked out. Like Bobby Green's gonna have a field day on the feet here against Jared Gordon. On the feet, it's not close in my opinion. Where Jared Gordon probably wins this fight is taking down Bobby Green. And again, that's going to be easier said than done against Bobby Green, who has a wrestling background, who has incredible takedown defense, a really good get-up game. And I actually think Bobby Green could go out there and mix takedowns in his own right. So I just don't see where Jared Gordon wins this fight outside of the corrupt judges just getting it wrong and robbing Bobby Green like they tend to do. Like Bobby Green's been robbed several times. And that's Jared Gordon's path to victory, a robbery decision win where he's losing 30-27. So I like Bobby Green here. Did the judges scare me? Yeah, they've been horrible lately, like abysmal lately. But Bobby Green should win this fight more often than not. And what I notice is the judges are scoring damage rather than control. And Bobby Green's going to hit Jared Gordon probably 150 times, if not more, in this matchup. So, yeah, I like Bobby Green here quite a bit. I do have him in a parlay. I'll touch on that parlay at the end of the show. And then I also put a quarter unit on Bobby Green by knockout. I think he can knock out Jared Gordon. Like I said, Jared Gordon's fighting nothing but grapplers his entire career for the most part. Bobby Green's going to hit Jared Gordon in the face well over 100 times. And we've seen Jared Gordon's chin crack multiple times. I think he's been knocked out 4 or 5 times. So I like Bobby Green to win this fight. And I'm very confident. It's just as long as the corrupt judges don't screw me here, he should go out there and win this fight. Bobby Green by knockout, quarter unit, plus 380 on, I believe it was FanDuel Sportsbook. So I like that knockout shot there. I think Bobby Green's coming for blood here. I think he's going to put it on Jared Gordon early, and I think he can knock him out. From a DraftKings perspective, 94 is a lot for Bobby Green, but I think he can go out there, put up a lot of volume. It's just a big, big price tag for Bobby Green. I don't know if I can get there. Jared Gordon, 6,800. I guess he's a solid pump play because if Jared Gordon does win, he's going to score a lot. That probably means he was able to get takedowns, but I don't know. Don't love this fight from a DraftKings perspective, but I do like Bobby Green quite a bit. And I do have him in a parlay in that knockout prop sprinkled. It's actually Jasmine, just a typo on her translator. Who knows? Jasmine, Lasman, Iasmin. As long as she gets the win, I don't care what her name is. Green's boxing will be too much, but I don't think he quits. Bobby probably gets another decision. Yeah, that could be the case. I think decision's probably most likely, but I think the knockout could be live, especially at that price tag. I got Bobby and Gordon goes the distance. I think it'll be a sweat, man. I really do. I think Bobby's going to hit this guy a lot. Vegas judges should be better, I hope. Yeah, they've been better. They've been better. It is Iasmin with an I. It's pronounced Yasmin. There we go. I can't believe Cachoeira didn't make weight. This is supposed to be your job to make weight. What was she doing? Eating burgers all week? Yeah, I don't know what happened with Cachoeira. Very upset about that and very upset that the fight's off. Why is the under 2.5 plus 200 here? I think Bobby KO is really live. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I just texted her. It's Jasmine. Trust me. You think about Green's new name, King? I think that's probably about the biggest Bobby Green thing out there. Makes a lot of sense in terms of Bobby Green. Pronounced like Yasmin. There you go. I could care less what it's pronounced. All right, moving on. We have Brad Tavares going against Bruno Silva. We have Brad Tavares as the favorite, Bruno Silva as the dog. And I wonder what the line would have been if Bruno Silva showed up and starched Gerald Meerschaert like he was supposed to. I don't think we would be getting dog odds here for Bruno Silva. I think Bruno Silva looked very, very bad in his last fight, but that's really the only time he's ever looked that bad. So I'm not sure if he was hurt, if he was intoxicated in that matchup. He looked like it. I'm not sure what was going on with Bruno Silva, but prior to that, the guy looked like an absolute killer. There is a bet here that I like quite a bit. It's going to be the finish only for Bruno Silva. I have 2.5 units on it at -135. It's actually -130 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Same thing as the scorecard that equals no action. This means if this fight ends inside the distance, or this fight goes to decision, the bet is voided. If Bruno Silva wins this fight inside the distance, the bet hits. And if Brad Tavares finishes Bruno Silva, the bet loses. The reason I like this bet so much at -135, -130 is take a look at it here. Brad Tavares only a 37% finish rate, 26% by knockout, 11% by submission. Bruno Silva, 86% finish rate. Bruno Silva, no knockout losses. So is Brad Tavares going to be the first person to knock out Bruno Silva when Alex Pereira did not? I doubt it. Is Brad Tavares going to submit Bruno Silva? I doubt it. Brad Tavares has 0 submissions in the UFC. Just pulling it up here now, Brad Tavares has not even attempted a submission in the UFC. Listen to that. He's not even attempted a submission in the UFC, and he's been in the UFC for 13 years. He's been in the UFC for a long time. And then Brad Tavares only has one knockout win in like the last 13 years. And that was against Krzysztof Jotko, I believe in the 3rd round. But yeah, so you're telling me Brad Tavares, a guy with only one knockout win in the last 13 years, is going to finish Bruno Silva. I don't get that. So I'm on that finish only. I think that price is off. Does it void? Potentially. I think it probably could go to decision. Just because, yeah, Tavares is a pretty tough guy, and as is Silva, and Tavares isn't much of a finisher. But I think if there is a finish in this matchup, it's much more likely than the -130 does indicate. I like Bruno Silva here as far as the pick goes. He looked pretty solid at the weigh-ins, so I'm hoping he shows up looking like his normal self. And if he does, I think he has a very good chance to win this fight and potentially knock out Brad Tavares. From a DraftKings perspective, Tavares is probably one of the easiest fades on the slate. He's not going to wrestle. Like I said, he's not a finisher. If he wins this fight, expect like 50 to 60 points in a win. But Bruno Silva, 7,300. If he wins this fight, good chance you can get a couple knockdowns, potential knockout. I mean, the guy has just so much power in his hands, finishing almost 90% of his wins by knockout. So I like Bruno Silva on DraftKings quite a bit at that price tag. And I also like that Bruno Silva finish only quite a bit as well. It would not be easy for Silva to get another KO win here, but he sure can. It's either Tavares by decision or Silva ends it quick in round 1. Agree and disagree. I think you're right in terms of the Brad Tavares by decision, but Silva carries his power late. He was able to knock out Andrew Sanchez in that 3rd round, so I think it could really be in any round, honestly. Bruno Silva was the only guy to beat Pereira, I believe. Am I wrong? No, he lost to Pereira, but he made a very good account for himself in that fight. Showed a lot of toughness, a lot of durability, got hit with everything against Pereira and did not go down. Going to take Bruno Silva by decision or KO. There, yeah, he's not subbing anybody. He's a black belt, but he's not subbing anybody. Brad Tavares, 12 decision wins. This is a lot of work. That is a lot to work it out to another one decision. Yeah, if Brad Tavares wins, I think it's decision there. Silva and Tavares over is the safe one. Yeah, I think that's probably the most likely outcome. But if Bruno Silva shows up looking like his old self, he could potentially get the KO here himself. So we'll see. But I do like that finish only. And I also don't mind like the decision only for Brad Tavares. I'm not sure what that is, but probably a good look as well. All right, we will move on to the main event. Curtis Blaydes going against Sergey Pavlovich. This is my highest exposed fight on the entire slate now that the Priscilla Ketcha cheating and Karina Silva fight is off. So I guess we'll talk about my bets first. So I have the fight doesn't go to decision in a parlay. I have the fight won't start round 4 in a parlay. I have the under 1.5 rounds, -140 for 1.5 units. And then I have a quarter unit sprinkle on Sergey Pavlovich to win in the first round at +410. Could not believe that line just because that's literally how Sergey Pavlovich wins. I think right now it's +380, which is still wild because if Pavlovich wins this fight, it's first round knockout. First and foremost, I think this is a very tough fight to call. I think this fight is about as 50-50 as it gets. 50% chance of Sergey Pavlovich destroying Blaydes in the first 2 minutes, and then a 50% chance of Curtis Blaydes getting a takedown, and one takedown is probably all it takes here. The one time we saw Sergey Pavlovich taken down and on his back, he quit. He literally quit against Overeem. He ate a couple shots, and it looked like he wanted out of there. So if he has not made improvements, and I'm sure he has, but like I said, the one time we did see Pavlovich on his back, he looked atrocious. So yeah, I see Pavlovich having an opportunity to knock out Blaydes in the first minute, 2 minutes, because I have a strong feeling Blaydes is going to have like a feeling out process, try to strike with Pavlovich. I really think he's going to. We've seen Blaydes do that a lot lately. I don't think Blaydes is going to wrestle within the first, minute, 2 minutes, which he should, but I don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, in those first 2.5 minutes, I think Pavlovich is going to have plenty of opportunities to find that knockout. But like I said, one takedown in the fight is going to be over, I believe. I strongly believe that. Blaydes' ground and pound is very good, and Pavlovich, from what I've seen, just has no ground game whatsoever, nothing to offer off his back. So give me the under 1.5 rounds. I think this fight ends in the first, actually. But yeah, I have a unit and a half on that at -140. And then I have that quarter unit shot on Pavlovich to win by first round knockout. And then I have the fight won't start round 4 in a parlay. And then the fight doesn't go to decision in a parlay. I'll touch on my 3 parlays at the end. From a DraftKings perspective, you got to play this fight. Blaydes, if he wins, expect takedowns, expect ground and pound, expect a TKO. If Pavlovich wins, you got that 60-second bonus upside, and I think it's probably within the first 2.5 minutes if Pavlovich is to pull this off at 7,400. So for me, I'm going about 50-50. 50% Blaydes, 50% Pavlovich. We'll see what happens, but I think the winner, is going to be on the optimal lineup. I'd be shocked if this fight was not optimal, especially on an 11-fight slate here. So I'm going to take Pavlovich for the first round knockout, but what I like more than anything is going to be violence. Nobody is going down here. Tough chins. Blaydes has been knocked out in all 3 of his losses, and both these guys, I mean, neither guy has ever lost a decision, believe it or not. All 4 losses combined, all 4 by knockout. I think somebody's going down here. Pavlovich is going to stop Blaydes, bank on it. Very true. Could absolutely happen. Or saying your background looks like a sauna, which is appropriate because your picks are fire. Yeah, it does look a little bit like a sauna. I do have a sauna. Maybe I'll do a show in there one time, but I can only stand there for like 20 minutes. Sergey Pavlovich will do the same thing that Lewis did just earlier, but Sergey only relies on his striking. Got to throw the bricks early. I think he is going to throw those bricks very early. I don't think the takedown will come until the end of the round. Yeah, if Blaydes waits till the end of the round, he's playing with fire. He's absolutely playing with fire. I agree, Tony. If this fight reaches round 2, live bet Blaydes seems close to a lock. Yeah, I think that seems about right to me. I think if Pavlovich wins in round 1, if this reaches the second round, I'll be looking at a live bet. Spivak ragdolled Lewis, and Blaydes couldn't get Lewis down once. Yeah, it was weird. And I lost a lot of money that night when Blaydes could not take down Lewis. And when he tried to, he got uppercutted and died there. That was bad. LJ saying, let's go again. Brady, most confident pick and best bet for super chats can hit 2 weeks in a row. It would have been that fight doesn't go for Priscilla Cachoeira, Karina Silva. That is off. So now it's the under 1.5 for Blaydes. Pavlovich is probably my favorite play on the slate. Also like Bobby Green, but as like a parlay piece, if you can find a good parlay piece for that. Most confident picks, Bobby Green, Lasman Lucinda, I guess, and Montel Jackson, kinda. But Bobby Green especially. I think Bobby Green should get it done. Pavlovich by first round KO. Yeah, I think that's his path, man. I like the fight doesn't start round 3 or round 4. I'm right there with you. Ooh, yeah, that would be a fun fight. Spivak and Pavlovich, that'd be very good. It'd be a very fun fight. Brady, I always ask you this. How many finishes on this card? I'm going to say... I'm going to say 7. I'll say 6. I'll say 6 out of 11 fight to finish. Oh, that makes sense. The chin comment was for Tavares Silva. Agreed. Both guys have really good chins there. I agree with that. All right, going to quickly go over my bets, answer any final questions, then we will head out of here. I did already post my betting breakdown video, so be sure to check that out. But the 3 parlays I have, the first one is Bobby Green, money line, parlayed with the fight doesn't go to decision. Pavlovich Blaydes, that fight, or that came out to -167. I have 2 units on that. I have the next parlay, Lasman Lucinda, parlayed with the over 2.5 rounds in the Carol Hosa, Norma Dumont fight. That came out to minus 149. I have 1 unit on that. And then the third parlay is Lasman Lucindo, parlayed with the fight won't start round 4, and the Blaydes fight that came out to minus 162. I have 1 unit on that. So yeah, I had 3.5 units on the fight doesn't go in the Karina Silva fight that is off. I have 1.5 units on the under 1.5 rounds in the main event. Blaydes Pavlov minus 140. Quarter unit on Pavlov KO1 plus 410. Quarter unit on Bobby Green KO plus 380. I have a half unit on Lucinda Walker under 2.5 rounds plus 220. I have 2.5 units on the Bruno Silva scorecards equals no action. The finish only minus 135. That's minus 130, I believe, on FanDuel. Under 2.5 rounds, Montel Jackson, Ronnie Yaya minus 142. Simmonsberger Wells under 1.5 rounds plus 145. Half a unit on that. Tanab Bakary wins inside the distance. Half a unit plus 140. And then quarter unit sprinkles. Tanab Bakary KO1 plus 450. KO2 plus 750. That is the action for this week. Andre saying Pavlov KO, Bruno KO, Dana KO, $100 to win $1,900. There you go. I think all those are definitely on the table. It'd be very nice if the Pavlov, it'd be very nice if all 3 of those hit, honestly. I'll take all 3 of those. Yaya Jackson fight doesn't go to decision, has to be a huge number. Yeah, it is. It's got pounded all week, which is weird because a lot of people think this fight goes to distance, but yeah, it's just getting hammered as we speak. Which, yeah, minus 250 now. Yeah, it's getting smoked. But if you have Bet Rivers, you can still get that under on minus 170. I think that's a solid look. And then somebody said like a fight won't start round 3 could potentially be in play. But yeah, that fight doesn't go to getting smacked. Jordan is saying, I have a feeling Bobby can finish Gordon early, scared of the time props. Yeah, I think it come early as well. I think Bobby's going to go out there and try to finish him very early. I think he's going to put it on him early. We'll see if Gordon's chin can hold up there. All right. That is about all I got, guys. Thank you for hanging out on a Friday. Not the best card, but next week is even worse. So I'd say enjoy this one. It should be fun. Solid fights all around. Looking forward to it as always. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out Best Bet tomorrow, 1 hour prior to the prelims. The prelims start off the top of my head at 4:30. So if so, we'll be going live around 3:15-ish around there. Best of luck, guys. We'll see you tomorrow and enjoy UFC Vegas 71. Talk to you soon.